Now that let's get done with these fucking reactions. Watch this one. About to watch that one. About to watch this one. This is I animated Breaking Bad into an anime. And then the next one is a body cam. I'm just letting y'all know to let y'all know if y'all want to watch this, because after this, we is getting into the gameplay. Yes, sir. Let's get to it.
One of the most watched shows on the planet into an anime, all by myself. I'm gonna take you, yes you, through my rocky adventure of how I animated this entire 17-shot scene without the need of an entire studio. I might have been a bit delusional this time around. For context, this is one of my favorite shows ever, and as a one-man studio, I wanted to challenge myself to see if I could animify a scene from the show entirely on my own. I knew this wasn't gonna be easy, but this was just something that needed to be done. But before that, here's a little message from today's sponsor. Girls Frontline 2 Exilium is a new 3D strategy RPG. It's out
Do you need $300, $500,
And then they
or
hit
even
us with an ad.
$1,000?
Breaking Bad anime. If I just jump into animating without figuring this stuff out first, it's gonna be a complete and utter mess. The scenes won't flow right, the art style would be inconsistent as shit, and I'll waste way more time redoing shots than I would like to. So getting these two things locked in now is gonna save me a lot of stress later on. Now let's get started by selecting the scene I'm gonna be turning into an anime. Okay, so after looking around for a little bit, I found 3 scenes that I think could be good. And well, I'm already leaning towards one, but I'm going to show you the ones that I had in mind anyway. So the first one I had in mind was obviously the Ozymandias scene with Walter White's iconic reaction to absolute tragedy. Then we have the scene where Walter tells Hank to tread lightly. And the last scene is the "This is not meth" scene. Okay, you guys want to take a guess on which scene I'm going to go with? All right, you guys probably already know because of the intro. I'm going to go with, of course, the "This is not meth" scene. The "This is not meth" scene happens after Tuco beats the shit out of Jesse, Walter White's partner, after Jesse tries selling Tuco meth and he wanted an upfront payment. So Walter White pulls up to Tuco's spot with a bag that presumably has meth inside of it to try selling it to Tuco, acting all calm, but really he's carrying crystals of fulminated mercury. Tuco takes one out of the bag and he just starts laughing at Walter because he thinks he brought him more meth after what he did to Walter's boy. Walter lets him talk for a second, he picks up the crystal that Tuco took, then he looks at him dead in the eyes and goes, "This is not meth." Then Walter throws it on the floor and blows up the entire spot. Easily one of the coolest scenes in the whole show. This scene has a quick story to tell as an animation, which works perfectly for me because unfortunately I cannot animate a 20-minute episode by myself. Maybe one day. The next step is figuring out the art style of this animation, which is honestly one of the most important decisions of this entire process. Like, if I mess this up, it doesn't matter how good the animation is. The whole thing is gonna look off and inconsistent. I wanted to pick an anime that not only looks good but also feels like it fits Breaking Bad's energy. You know, something with a serious, gritty tone but still has that sharp, nice anime look that makes everything feel cinematic. At first, I thought maybe something more stylized and simple could be fun, like Mob Psycho 100's art style, but Breaking Bad isn't exactly a super cartoony, super goofy show, and I wanted it to still feel sort of realistic to an extent. So I started thinking, what anime has that dark, realistic vibe, something with sharp shadows, intense close-ups, and crazy detail when it matters? Then it hit me. Attack on Titan. It honestly just made way too much sense. The crazy detailed eyes, the intense expressions, those heavy shadows under the eyelids, it just fits perfectly. And funny enough, Attack on Titan is what got me into animating in the first place. Like, legit, my first animation ever was literally me trying to animate a scene from Attack on Titan, and granted, it was horrible, but it's what made me fall in love with animation in the first place. The whole story is that in 2020, before Attack on Titan season 4 was out, I binged all of Attack on Titan, and I liked it so much that I went on to read the manga, and it was the final scene of chapter 100 that really caught my attention, and I really wanted to see it animated. And I was already pretty good at drawing, so I'm like, you know what, I might as well give it a shot and try to animate it myself. So thanks to that, I got into animating. So yeah, it most definitely has to be AOT. Now that the art style is locked in, it is time to start working on the character sheets for Walter White and Tuco, who are the most prominent characters in this scene. This part is super crucial. Like, if I don't do this now, I'm gonna end up going totally off model when I animate, and trust me, that would be an absolute nightmare for me later on. So first, I gathered up some references of the characters just to make sure I was getting all the little details just right. Then I quickly started sketching them out. For Walter White, it's honestly pretty straightforward. Bald head, glasses, mustache, but the main thing that stands out with him is those tired ass but determined eyes and the little wrinkles and eye bags under them. I definitely wanted to emphasize that for the anime look. And then there's Tuco. In the show, he's got a little bit of facial hair going on, but for the anime version, I decided to add a little more, and I think it looks pretty cool. He's also got that tattoo under his eye, which I had to make sure stood out. Once I had all that locked in, the character sheets were basically done. And as I was looking at both of them, I could not help but think of this one thing. Bro, these characters are so detailed, and it's actually concerning me, because as you guys know, the more detail a character has, the harder it's going to be to animate. And I have a feeling that the complexity of these characters is truly going to stretch out the time frame of this project by a lot. Now that I picked out the scene, the art style, and created the character sheet, it is time to start storyboarding everything so I can map out this entire sequence I'm about to animate. To save some time for now, I'm gonna keep my drawing scribbly so I can get an overall idea of the shots that I'm gonna polish later on, which is gonna help me figure out the flow of the sequence. I made a couple of key tweaks compared to the show, like slipping in super close-up shots of Walt's eyes for extra intensity and exaggerating Tuco's laugh to a crazy amount. My main objective with this one is to try to take the direction choices from the original live-action show and rework them into an anime style direction that actually fits animation, because not every decision that works in live action translates well to anime. I ended up coming up with 17 cuts for this scene, and with that, the storyboard was finally done. But as I skimmed through the whole thing, reality started to sink in. I knew that this was gonna be tough, but seeing everything laid out in front of me really showed me just how challenging animating all of this was going to be. But was I just overthinking it, or was I mentally bracing myself for what was inevitably going to be a grueling journey? With everything fully planned out, it is finally time to start animating this project. This was the longest I've ever spent on an animation project for my entire channel. Nearly 2.5 months of blood, sweat, and tears. But this one's special. I'm animating my favorite show of all time with my favorite anime art style. So yeah, you best believe that I was about to pop off. Make sure to stay tuned for the whole animation process and the final product at the very end of this video.
Welcome to Visible Plus Pro, the ultimate wireless hack. Because we're powered with 5G Ultra Wideband by Verizon. That gives you access to our fastest speeds, plus coverage and connection.
For the first cut, I wanted to ease you into the scene with a moment of calm before the storm. So right in the middle of the action, but before shit goes down. Here we see Walter White listening to Tuco just verbally assaulting him, but I wanted him to appear nice and composed. So I decided to just keep his face in a neutral expression and only animate a little blink. Animating the blink with wrinkles, eye bags, and glasses all moving together would have been a total nightmare though, so I put Walter's glasses on their own layer to stay nice and steady so that I don't have to draw them over and over again, and I could just focus on the eye animation. I focused on animating the subtle movements of his eyelids, wrinkles, and eye bags so the blink feels as natural as possible. I then overlaid those Attack on Titan digital lines around his eyes to keep it consistent with the art style I was going for. Then I colored everything in straight from the character sheet that I made earlier, which officially wraps up the very first cut. It was very nice and simple, but it's gonna help everything make sense. And without wasting a single second, I moved on to cut 2.
Fucking hearing you bring me more, man?
Which is the opposite of simple. In this cut, I break Tuco's movement into 3 phases so that this shot could be as expressive as I could possibly make it. First, he's sitting back in his chair talking, then he jumps into a super close-up shot with an evil smile, and finally he completely loses it and bursts out laughing. I wanted to be smart with the way I was going to pull this off, so I used layers to my advantage in Clip Studio Paint, which is the program that I use to animate. I have a little link in the description for those interested in checking it out. I ended up separating the mouth moving when he spoke from the rest of the face, using layers like I just mentioned so that I didn't have to redraw his face over and over again whenever he's speaking. When he finally starts laughing like crazy, I stretched out the entire character with the transform tool and tweaked specific facial features so that it feels natural instead of just a basic distortion. I hand drew every in-between frame, which helped the bounce of the laugh and the cartoony vibe come through. There was always way more over the top and super cartoony compared to the actual show, but honestly I loved how it turned out. This shot took 4 fucking ever to animate, so in order to maintain my motivation, I needed some validation. Bars. All right, I'm about to call my boy Isaac up, see if he picks up. Elisa! Yo, what you up to?
Jackington City, bro. I'm in my f***ing bed doing nothing.
Yo, you know how I've been working on this Breaking Bad animation?
Mm-hmm.
You mind if I show you some real quick?
Yeah, sure, bro.
Let me call you on Discord real quick.
Oh, all right, hold on. Let me get on my fucking PC then.
All right, bet. All right, I'm about to call this guy on Discord. I don't care if he's on his PC yet. Oh my, I'm chopped. All right, here we go. Now I'm looking good. Look at my ears. They're like, oh, they're so long.
Yo, I deadass have like no fucking pants on right now. I rush to get here.
Me neither.
Oh, let's
I have no
fucking
pants
go.
on. All right, I'm about to share screen. Let's do this.
I bet. Let's see.
This is what I got so far.
I bet. Oh my god.
Yeah. What do you think?
Bro, just by this alone, maybe it's me being biased because like I like Breaking Bad and I don't watch anime, but like just by this alone, this is probably your best animation yet, bro. There's a lot more detail to this compared to like the Blue Lock shit, the Seven Deadly Sins video. Yeah, bro. Like just by this alone, just by this like 5-second segment, bro. I can already tell.
This is like not even 2 seconds long. I appreciate it though. Thank you.
Bro. Yeah. No problem. Bro.
You want to take a guess how long this 2-second animation took to make?
Holy shit. Like a day?
A day? You think this only took a day?
Like the 2 seconds? I don't fucking
This 2 seconds? You think it only took 1 day? This probably took a couple years off my lifespan, I'll be honest.
What the fuck?
How long did it actually take him?
For cut 3, I jumped straight into a nice and tight close-up on Walter's face and animated his eyelids drooping just a tiny amount. Kind of like a little micro blink that says some shit's truly about to go down. The show just reused the previous shot, but I wanted more drama, so I closed up the frame to add more intensity. I took inspiration from Attack on Titan's crazy detailed eye shots, so I painted up a crazy detailed iris in a separate project file. That way I could add tiny twitches and iris shifts later on when I put everything together during the compositing phase. This shot was relatively simple to pull off, but once everything is fully put together, this one's gonna be one of the ones that stand out the most. Cut 4 is up next, and I kept the framing and timing almost identical to the show. Gonzo, the big boy on the left, just sits there and delivers the line brilliant, so I didn't want to mess with what already works. That said, I knew the shot needed a little more life, so I slipped in a quick little blink on his delivery to sell that moment because he's making fun of Walter. Then I animated the head shake exactly like in the live action. When he shakes his head, I didn't redraw the whole body, but I knew that I wanted to add a little more movement than just the head, so I also animated his collar of his shirt to move alongside him shaking his head. And honestly, that little addition made everything seem more immersive and smooth. And I'm not typically one to do these types of like little subtle animations. I usually skip this because a lot of the times I don't think that it would add that much, but this time around I decided to spend a little more time on the small details, and to be honest, I got proven entirely wrong on this point. This very small thing motivated me to continue putting in more effort into each shot than I normally do. Moving on to cut 5.
Duncan Daydream Hotline, what can I do for you today?
What the hell,
What
Jack?
you're describing is a
For this shot, the show holds on a mostly static shot of Walter, Gonzo, and this other guy whom I don't know his name. So I did more or less the same, but I added in a small little blink on Walter to break the stillness. That tiny movement reminds you that he's processing every word of Tuchel's shit talk, and the whole point of this cut is to have a little moment of silence and have us hanging on to Walter's reaction as we wait for him to respond, in which he is about to in cut 6.
You got one part of that wrong.
For cut 6,
I
the
feel
show
like you
just
didn't make
reuses the
his
same
head
shot as
long
before,
enough on
but
the
to make it
side.
feel way more personal and intense, I decided to bring it in tight right on Walter's face. So, since it's just a shot of his face, I decided to really pop off with the details and facial expressions. Like I mentioned earlier, I wanted to spend extra time on those small details. For example, as he starts speaking, I animated his eyes like opening and then closing a little bit, which
With those lines on the side, he making him look
adds
like
so
a
much
Titan.
character and it makes the scene flow so much better. I even added
not a
crazy
Titan,
details
but you
with his
know how they
mouth,
add,
the
like,
teeth, the
them
creases
scars.
on his lips, which makes the line delivery really pop. The level of detail I poured into the shot honestly shocked me and everyone I showed. Everyone I showed was like, dude, that looks fucking crazy. I animated every wrinkle and eye bag moving in sync, which made this shot look extremely expressive. This cut came out crazy smooth, and it's definitely my favorite one so far. Next up is cut 7. I yet again went with a close-up shot, whereas the show stayed again on the same exact shot. I went for a super close-up on Walter's hand grabbing the fulminated mercury crystal. The animation for this one was honestly super easy. I just used the same hand drawing for pretty much every frame and shifted it around to really sell the movement.
The only time I swapped out the drawing was at the start when he opened his finger to grab the crystal.
But yeah, that's pretty much it for this one. The next one is cut 8.
You need a background.
Is not meth.
This basically featured the same process as Cut 4, and I went with the same frame.
Did he say what app he was using? Girl, what's wrong? I don't think he said what
as the show because
using,
it's iconic, you know, I can't change it much. But the only thing that was different about this process was that the head of Walter shakes both ways instead of just one side like Cut 4. So I had to animate him turning left, center, right, and then hand draw all the in-betweens to keep everything smooth. On top of that, I actually had to animate him talking while his head was moving, which I thought was gonna be a total nightmare, but once I nailed the timing, it actually flowed together way better than I expected. But the amount of detail on this shot is just ridiculous. Like, just look at every shifting wrinkle around his eyes. This is hands down the most detailed animated shot I've ever done. So I really hope you guys are liking it so far because an unholy amount of time was spent on this. And at this point, I was starting to get burnt out and tired of animating. Just looking at my drawing pen gave me cold sweats. It was getting pretty bad.
I gotta call my friend, man. It's getting bad. Yo.
Yo, what's going on?
What's good? You busy right now?
Nah, I'm gooning.
Listen, man, I'm going through a little predicament right now.
What's going on? What's going on?
You know how I've been working on my little Breaking Bad animation, my little Breaking Bad project?
I do.
Bro, I was doing like the storyboard the other day and I've been working on this shit. Turns out this project was a lot longer than I thought it was gonna be, and like the characters and stuff are like super detailed. So I've been spending a lot more time than I thought I was gonna take like per cut, and I'm 8 in right now, and like there's so much more that I have to go through. And bro, when I tell you, anytime I look at a fucking pencil or a pen, I actually just get like PTSD.
Okay, so you're in a predicament. You have a lot to do. You have no willpower left to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, nothing worth doing ever comes easy. You're working on a generational animation and you're letting a little bit of pencil fatigue stop you from creating a generational product that we are all waiting on. We have your notifications on, and no pressure, but we're all kind of
a good anime. My Hero Academia.
Counting on you. I'd say take a breather, get some caffeine, and you'll be fine. Nothing a little caffeine can't fix.
True.
Get a few monsters, destroy the fuck out of your liver. You don't need a liver, you need to work.
You're
drink
right.
some caffeine, meditate a little bit like a monk, and then get back to it.
Well, thank you for your words of wisdom, my boy.
You're welcome, anytime.
All right, bro, take care.
Take care.
He better not was gonna give up. The hell?
Do not pay your next car insurance bill. Repeat, do not pay your bill yet.
So
They try to get the police after you. Don't listen to their ass.
For cut 9, I pretty much just copied the show's shot. I thought it could work as is, so I sort of just left it alone. I just slid his head's position up a tiny bit over a few frames to sell that something's off vibe. The rest of his body stays completely still though, and to really push the expression, I raised one of his eyebrows higher than the other to make the emotion pop way more. Then came cut 10, where Walter finally throws the crystal. For this cut, I picked up exactly where cut 8 left off. It's legit the same exact shot.
You know, actually, I want to add some like extra anticipation to this cut. So I'm thinking what would look like really cool would be like him like quickly opening his eyes before he turns around and throws the crystal. You go like. Another thing to keep in mind is that I also want this one to be like the only shot where he throws the crystal. Then the next shot, which would be cut 11, it's already like the follow through of the throw. In the show, there's another like quick little cut or like a full body shot of him like throwing the crystal down on the ground, focused, which I don't really think would work that well in an anime type of direction. So I want to try to keep it at just like this one and that's it.
Which is exactly what I did, and it came out just as I intended it to. The magic in getting the anticipation right was having a frame where the eyes get super wide and then easing out of it seamlessly. I then animated the turnaround, which was a huge pain in the ass. Then to make sure you're able to tell that Walter threw the crystal, I added a smear and had his head sort of go back to show a quick throw.
If I'm being totally real, I think this shot just gets the job done. For the sake of time and my sanity, I'm just gonna leave it as is. I struggled a little more than I showed with this one, and I think this is gonna have to do, but I'm not really a big fan of it, if I'm being completely honest.
Regardless of what I thought, I had no choice but to keep on moving forward with this project. I have some great friends that showed their support and encouragement, and an audience of over 100,000 beautiful people that I cannot let down. For
For cut 11, I was doing the sketch pass of the animation, and somewhere along the way, I realized that I completely forgot to draw hands, faces, arms. I don't even know what happened to me. I'm this deep into the project, and I lost all of my skills. This looks like shit. Obviously, I was not gonna let these nitrous ass circumstances get the best of me, so I went back and redid the whole entire thing from scratch. And this time it actually came out a lot better. Animating the follow through of the hand was super difficult though. I deadass didn't think it was gonna be that bad, and I honestly struggled with every single frame. But thankfully this shot completely blurs out Walter White, and the focus is solely on the crystal. So these very rough drawings that don't look that good aren't gonna be that detrimental. I timed the crystal's motion to start off slow, then ease into a faster, smoother motion right before it just explodes with 2 impact frames. One that's loaded with sketch lines looking all cool, and then just a full white flash. This is gonna get the job done perfectly, and it's gonna help transition into the next 4 cuts of just straight explosions. For cuts 12, 13, 14, and 15, I animated a simple explosion and added almost no details because I usually drop in the juicy stuff later during compositing. It saves me a lot of time and it still looks good. The one thing that did take a long ass time was drawing all of the background characters, and for the sake of time and budget, there is no budget, I didn't animate their reactions to the building literally blowing up right on top of them, so sorry about that, I guess. But hey, I animated some air conditioners flying off. That's what happened in the show. Funny enough, I was on a little family trip while working on these shots, and I got a huge spark of inspiration, so I did some work out there too. That level of dedication even surprised me. For cut 15, I wanted a full-on slow motion shot with 0 traditional animation. It's just a bunch of PNG debris and effects floating in slow motion, which is gonna add a ton to this sequence. Just trust the process, you'll see. But either way, these shots get the job done just right, and now it's time to head back inside the building with Walter White and Tuco.
If I was to do an anime chat,
for cut 16, I kept Tuco's head down as the smoke swirls around him, but you're not gonna see the smoke until I'm done compositing everything. Then I had him snap his head up and scream, "Are you fucking nuts?" at Walter. This shot was super simple, just a quick little head lift and the mouth moving up and down with no new tricks or fancy techniques. But with that being said, we're on to the very final shot of this project, cut 17.
I want to find out.
For this final cut, I kind of went a little crazy drawing Walter in insane levels of fucking detail. I also added little rough strokes on his head to sell the impact from the blast, and I even animated a drop of blood coming out of his nose before he speaks. When it's uncolored, it kind of looks like a booger, but trust me, it's blood. He's holding up the bag of crystals and says, "You want to find out?" Aura! And just like that, the animation's finally finished. Now all I gotta do is the backgrounds, compositing, and the audio. These backgrounds were absolutely brutal and a lot more time consuming than I previously thought possible. You see, anime backgrounds are painted and typically are high detail, so my main objective was to make a background I could reuse throughout several cuts so that I could save myself from going into yet another existential crisis. That's exactly why I made the background of cut 5 super high resolution. It's the widest shot inside of the building, which just lets me zoom into different parts for other shots. I even traced the background from the show to save time. Spoiler, not much time was really saved because it still took for fucking ever to paint. I'm not that experienced in painting backgrounds, let alone painting in general, so this took me forever to do. Thankfully, it came out really good, and I really love the colors I ended up choosing for this. I was originally not gonna add the fan spinning on the ceiling because I thought it would be difficult to animate. Then I sort of just drew it flat, lined it up with the proper perspective, and keyframed it spinning, which worked just fine. I also had to add all the stuff on the table where Walter picks up the crystal, like the stacks of money. To make it look like real cash, I grabbed an image off Google and used Clip Studio's puppet tool to crop it in perfectly with my drawings. For the outside of the building, I didn't trace absolutely anything. I just raw dogged it and tried my best using cloud brushes, tree brushes, textures, and all that fun stuff from the Clip Studio asset store. I think you guys are gonna be able to tell that this shit took so fucking long, and it's only for like 2 seconds of screen time. And the same thing goes for the background of cut 13. Jesus Christ. I don't even mean to get like super sentimental or like super reflective or whatever, but man, I only gotta composite everything and add the audio and this project is done. Thankfully, the most time consuming parts are out of the way. But yeah, this is one of those projects where I could confidently say that I learned so much in terms of animation and even painting, and I think you guys are gonna be able to tell that I've improved a lot on things that I've struggled with in the past. So yeah, I'm feeling good about it. I like it so far. There's a couple of things here and there that, you know, I think could be improved, but it's good for the learning experience, and I think that in terms of animation and just like sheer detail and just artistic direction, this is definitely my best. Like, there's no question about it.
When you need help figuring out how to style your studio apartment, you can just ask Google for ideas that match both your taste and the
I didn't
space.
see it. My fault.
250 square feet never felt so spacious. Ah, home sweet studio.
If you or a loved one were sexually abused at these Illinois youth facilities or treatment centers,
Without the backgrounds done, it was time to go straight into After Effects for compositing. Firstly, I started off by adding layer styles on the characters in every single cut, basically dropping a soft shadow along the line work to give them way more depth and weight. I then threw on a subtle rim light around Walter and Tuco to make it look like we actually had a budget, even though I spent $0 on this video. For the explosion, I used glow strategically, and again, leaned on layer styles to give that simple animation an extra oomph. I even added a bit of noise to the layer style, which ended up adding a lot more grit and texture than I ever expected. Then to crank up the impact even more, I threw in a bunch of glass shards by duplicating drawings I already made. I keyframed their movement, pre-composed it, and slapped on posturized time to lower the frame rate so that they move with that choppy, hand-drawn feel. For the final two cuts, I added a bunch of cool smoke effect, which really nails the atmosphere I was going for. I then exported everything and dragged it into DaVinci Resolve to add color correction so that everything could look far nicer and more consistent. I also added shakes, subtle camera movements, and finally got ready to start adding the audio in. This part is usually what makes or breaks the whole thing, and Breaking Bad is known for having an excellent sound direction, so I gotta try doing the same but for an anime version. So first I ripped the show's original voice lines and did
good, but I think he went way too detailed. It's way too detailed.
My best to sync them with my animation. There were a few parts here and there where the timing was totally off because I didn't pay enough attention during animating, which was a huge mistake on my end, but honestly,
You walk in here and you bring me more, man? That's a brilliant plan, is it? Brilliant.
I think it works, maybe? Next, I added sound effects on every little movement so that it all feels organic and seamless. I will say though, the part that I seriously popped off on was the explosions.
Yeah, that building is
When it came to the scenes at the very
detailed.
end that had a ton of smoke, I grabbed the wind sound effect, cranked up the saturation a ton for that gritty, grungy sound that I love, which makes the whole scene feel whole. And then it was time to start hunting for the perfect OST on Epidemic Sound. Every time I thought I found the one and played it back, I hated it. My frustration kept on growing and growing, so I kept on looking and looking until I found this one. This is the one. That's the one right fucking there, baby. That's what I'm fucking talking about. In the end, those sound effects and the music track tied everything together and gave this animation its final touch of greatness. And just like that, after 2.5 months of grinding, stressing, blood, sweat, and tears, and probably losing my sanity, Breaking Bad has officially been turned into an anime. From sketching every little wrinkle on Walter's face to blowing up an entire building, it's finally been done. Easily the most polished and most detailed animation I've ever made for the channel, but honestly, seeing it all come together made every second of work worth it. My friends that helped encourage me throughout this process loved the animation. I even showed my dad and he loved it. So I also hope that I meet the expectations of you, my beautiful audience. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow my Instagram. And if you want to see me animify other shows or movies, drop it in the comments. I'm definitely down to do more of these. All right, guys, enough yapping. Here's the final animation. Enjoy.
Out of your mule boy. And then you walk in here and you bring me more, man? That's a brilliant plan, is it? Brilliant.
You got one part of that wrong.
He got the movement of the wrinkles too.
This is not meth.
Are you fucking nuts?
Wanna find out?
That's crazy. I might have to hit him up so he can teach me some. Wait, that sound wrong. No Diddy. That sound wrong. I take that back. Oh yeah. I would want to learn how to draw as well as that person. You see my drawings on the wall.
You wash your whole body every day, so why don't you wash your whole mouth?
Hello?
Listerine. Wash your mouth.
Amen. Yeah, man, I forgot what I was talking about. Oh my God. Well, chat, we got one more reaction, and then we go get straight to the game. I really hope that y'all enjoy everything that I had to bring y'all today. I hope that it was entertaining. And with this last reaction, after that is the gameplay. If you was just here for the reactions always start every day at 4, just not the weekend. Because we don't do no weekend. The weekend is break. Motherfucker, I gotta sleep too. But I'm gonna play this reaction and then I'm gonna go get my food real quick and yo. This shit should be good.
I need more training. You need sacrifice. You got a mental problem. He said he's gonna catch a body. Everything recorded. Him right here. He said he's gonna catch a body out here. Everything came up to me with a stick.
On August 23, 2020, police officers on patrol in Chicago made the abrupt decision to detain a young man by the name of Leroy Kennedy. One moment Leroy was going about his day, and the next he was being tackled, his face ground into the pavement. He was resisting arrest, officers would later inform him. But the original reason they stopped him seemed to mystify everyone, including the officers themselves, who seemed intent on behaving unprofessionally throughout the encounter. Right away, we're situated in the middle of a chaotic scene fueled by an incensed mob. They've just witnessed a violent incident instigated by the police themselves.
Hey, no, chill out. You know we'll roll your. We'll roll your. Take this. We just you. Take this. Come on, you just bust. Okay, you just bust. Take this. You playing, bro. You playing, bro. You playing, bro. You playing. Let me go through it, y'all. Helping you. Helping you. You just this face up like this. Man, you just this face up. That you stand on that bitch. You was trying to fight me, bro. Man, you was trying to fight them. God, you touching me for no reason, bro. I ain't got shit on you, bro. I ain't take off running. I walk though. I ain't run. I walk though. On my man, don't put me no. Stop pushing him, bro. Listen, I'm gonna get some medical attention over there.
You might expect that once Leroy is in the back of the squad car, his defenders will disperse. However, this seems to have the exact opposite effect.
Bro, back up, back up. I'll be that. Back up.
The chaotic scene has quickly evolved to what appears to be a standoff between officers and civilians. The officer, having put his hands around Leroy's neck and having thrown him to the ground, definitely doesn't appear to have been warranted. While exercising force against a fleeing suspect is allowed, so long as the force is reasonable under the circumstances, Leroy didn't appear to have been a fleeing suspect. He also didn't appear to have been resisting, nor did it seem he had any weapons on his person. There must be specific, articulable facts to support the exercise of force.
It must be complicated working with a friend. Stop. But I love you.
You need to show the town that you have nothing to be embarrassed about.
I'm sorry, I knew! Oh!
Come here, chat.
What?
Huh?
For?
Oh no.
Dinner.
How'd I let dinner sneak up on me?
It happened.
And here, we aren't seeing any.
Give me some space. Give me some space. I'm trying to get medical attention, bro. Because you did. It is what it is. Ain't no that's why we don't like y'all. Should kill y'all. I hate y'all. You just my face up, bro. I ain't got bro. I have nothing. Why you take what y'all with me for, bro? I walked off, bro. Did you move my hands? Bro, you want to search me, bro? How about the cop you search me? You can search me hands down, everything. I don't have nothing on me. Handling in the cuffs. Take control now. I got you, bro. Okay, now district guard, take a district guard. District guard, Hamlin in the cuffs. Augusta and Hamlin, take a district.
It also doesn't help that more police are joining the scene by the minute. It's hard to say who's most upset, Leroy, the crowd, or the police. One of the officers who participated in the arrest appears to be particularly agitated and takes it out on the crowd.
All right, I'm back, Chad. I'm back, Chad.
Take that 140-pound ass. 140 pounds. Hold on with your homies.
Did anybody swing? Because I'm hearing a whole lot of arguing. Yes, I shake my pops. Did that down.
He wasn't like that when he was just out here. He was not like that. He was not like that. He said he got his own now. When you off the clock, he gonna get you every day. We stay there. Stay there. That's all that fuck, bro. Ain't nobody trying to tell you. I appreciate you guys. Stay right there. That's fine. Ain't nobody trying to tell you. Why you getting all tough and down like that? Sticks and all the people picking up sticks and pussy ass motherfucker. Thank you. That man was not like that. Me and just slammed on his head. We did. We know. We're not lying about it. Right. Okay.
Wait, they slammed him on his head?
He choked him through the gate. Try to talk to him. You pulled up.
Who seemed intent
My
on
bad,
behaving
Chad, I'm just
unprofessionally throughout the
checking
encounter. Right away, we're situated in the middle of a chaotic scene fueled by an incensed mob. They've just witnessed a violent incident instigated by the police themselves.
Hey, no, chill out. You got we'll roll your about there, roll. We'll roll. Take that. You playing, bro. You playing, bro. You playing, bro. You playing. You better let me go through and y'all just man, you just straight up. That you said on that bitch. She was trying to fight me, bro. You was trying to fight you.
So that's the one he slammed on his head? I'm assuming.
Give me some space. I'm trying to get medical attention, bro. Because you did. It is what it is. Ain't no that's why we don't let y'all should kill y'all. I hate y'all. You just my face up, bro. I ain't that, bro. I have nothing. Why you take what y'all with me for, bro? I walked off, bro. Did you move my hands? Bro, you want to search me, bro? I'll have up the copy you search me. You can search me hands down, everything. I don't have nothing on me. Handling in the cuffs. Take control now. I got you. Okay, now disregard. Take a disregard. Disregard. Handling in the cuffs. Augustine Hamlin. Take a disregard.
It also doesn't help that more police are joining the scene by the minute. It's hard to say who's most upset, Leroy, the crowd, or the police. One of the officers who participated in the arrest appears to be particularly agitated and takes it out on the crowd.
Let's go then, skinny. Take that off, 140-pound ass. 140 pounds. Hold on with your homies. Come to you. Take that off. I'm using that shit. Yeah. He wasn't like that when he was just out here. He was not like that. He was not like that. He said he got his own now. When you off the clock, he gonna get you every day. We stay there. Stay there. That's all that fuck, bro. Ain't nobody trying to tell you. I appreciate you guys. Stay right there. That's fine.
Why you can't fuck with the hood, man?
Pick up sticks and you picking up sticks and pussy ass motherfucker. Thank you. That man was not like that. Me and just slammed on his head. We did. We know. We're not lying about it. Right. Okay. Oh, what the fuck, bro? He started fighting around. He choked him through the gate. He tried to talk to him. You pulled up. You talking about the black. That's all I want. We don't need that. Yeah, because he slammed him on the He did. I understand. But he was coming up behind him, okay? Trying to pull him away. He was. It's on camera. It's on camera. Talking to a white dude, bro. What's the issue? Lock your dumb You need more training. I need more training. You need safety back. Yeah. You got a mental problem. He said he's gonna catch a body. Everything recorded. Him right here. He said he's
You
gonna
do
catch a
need
body.
more training, because why is you sitting here going back and forth?
Take that down, bro. Take that down, bro. Take that down, bro.
The fuck was that?
Look at his face, bro. Catch a body today.
You might think you misheard the officer,
What?
but he did in fact say that he was looking to catch a body, and as he continuously points out to the crowd, it's all on video.
Our delay is 1/5 of a second. Low latency
Man,
makes
whoop his
the
ass.
TV show.
You picked up a bat. It's on camera. I did. I will.
Everything has gotten out of hand, and the officer needs to quickly separate Leroy from the scene. Considering the number of members of law enforcement who've responded to the scene, at least 1 to 2 should be making efforts to de-escalate the situation and to calm the civilians. However, what we've seen isn't consistent with this. At this point, it's clear that the officers have lost control of the situation. Irate civilians have surrounded the cruiser, and Leroy should have already been transported away from the scene.
I wasn't. Your ass was inside.
Getting way too personal.
There's something obviously wrong with him, bro.
The situation is now completely out of control. Officers are behaving unprofessionally, which tarnishes the law enforcement badge. While they should never let their emotions be seen, their anger has gotten the best of them. The civilians have a right to challenge authority, and the officers have no right to speak to the civilians the way they are, including the name-calling and threatening to lock them up as you just witnessed. As the police car begins to pull away, the officer continues shouting insults out the window.
Make more than you, bro.
Oh, wow.
Running. Remind me to take this. Relax. I got you, okay? I got you. We got you.
With the body cam on.
Ain't nobody gonna treat you badly. I'm gonna get you water and everything, okay?
But based on the police treatment Leroy has experienced so far, though, these promises likely don't mean much. Back where the crowd is gathered, several bystanders attempt to explain how the situation has played out so far. The response they get is lackluster at best, if not outright dismissive.
You go see his sister, man. Put their hand on him. He jumped out, he grabbed him. He didn't try to get aggressive with him. He picked him up and slammed him, man. On the guy in the car.
The officer, when
the black
gentleman
officer
told
picked
him
him up.
to not touch him, the officer got mad and choked him.
Yeah,
and then he tried to resist. The officer took him and slammed him on the ground.
He wasn't doing nothing.
Why did the police officer get out of the car? We have no idea. They parked right here. They parked right here. They were sitting down right here. He started walking towards them. The gentleman got up and started walking away. I guess he didn't want no problem. They never found nothing on. He wasn't doing anything wrong. The black officer tried to corner him off, ran and chased him and blocked him off. He said, man, I ain't did nothing. Don't touch me. The officer grabbed him and started choking him. I'm sorry.
Well, my suggestion is if you want to make a complaint, you can call COPA. But obviously, I mean, it looks like the guy's under arrest for something.
What that something is remains to be seen. An officer needs to take charge of the situation and give the disgruntled witnesses a voice. They need for someone to listen and to feel they've been heard. They should be given the option to fill out statements and potentially compose formal complaints. Even if the complaints don't move forward, perception is everything, even so much as giving the witnesses business cards as a way to build trust. For now, officers clear the original scene and arrange to meet EMS at a more controlled location. However, not all of the officers go quietly, fanning the flames of unrest before leaving the area.
Oh, we come out thick. That's how we do. I'm just talking to the community, bro. That's it.
They just put in, what is it, fuel to the fire.
They need attention. All right, let's go. They just need attention. I don't want to give them attention.
Just a few blocks away, one of the officers waiting for EMTs to assess Leroy finally thinks to ask a rather important question.
We jumped.
What y'all doing? I'm trying to see what y'all arrested for.
What's he arrested for?
They instantly started fighting.
But you don't know what you're arrested for? To be arrested for. Hey, no, hey.
I appreciate the follow.
You see my face?
As we saw in the arrest footage, this isn't exactly true. It seems that the police are getting creative. Police chased Leroy down, and it was only after they laid hands on him that he began to flail.
Picked a great main, but your voice doesn't quite match it?
We have a fix.
Voice Mod gives you over 150 lag-free.
They started grabbing on Razor as soon as we walked up, grabbing his back, grabbing the back of his vest, pulling him away. We didn't even say.
This claim may be true. Conflict once again flares between Leroy and the officers while they wait for EMS. Even rookies are taught not to engage with a yelling detainee. While it would go a long way in the court of public opinion and among a jury when footage shows officers not engaging, this particular officer opens the door to the cruiser and confronts Leroy. His act is clearly unprofessional. In addition, the backwards worn baseball hat wouldn't be a standard issued uniform item.
Is he choking him? Excuse me.
Police already saw that Leroy had a phone during the arrest, the search, and when they initially placed him in the car.
Injuries from the takedown? Yeah. I see you. Yeah.
Oh, Angelo Gray, 514-891-4. Angelo, I'm gonna sue all you. Angelo Gray, I'm gonna lose y'all job. Angelo Gray, Abercrombie, Harry, Rainer, whatever, yo, Robinson, on Long Park. What those they got home? I'm gonna get all you.
Yeah. Run up a bag.
Soon EMTs arrive to tend to Leroy's injuries. He's escorted out of the police car and into the ambulance while police decide who will accompany him to the hospital.
Bet it's gonna be the officer that's been whooping his ass.
Before getting underway, police take the opportunity to search Leroy again, but nothing incriminating has appeared in his pockets since the last time they checked. With that out of the way, they can finally head to the hospital.
Ooh, you was reaching far.
In addition to the scrapes on his face, Leroy was treated for injuries to his hands and wrists. There were also concerns about a concussion due to the force with which Leroy's head hit the pavement. While he has recovered physically, he's since come forward to say the encounter left him traumatized.
Excuse me, chat. Excuse me, chat.
What's up?
Them damn Pepsis.
Why am I still what?
Why the you still here?
Why am I still what?
You heard what I said.
It's a good question because you've certainly noticed Leroy still hasn't been told why he's under arrest. While the United States Supreme Court has held that it's good police practice to tell a suspect why they're being arrested when taken into custody, the Supreme Court has found no constitutional requirement to do so. Very few states statutorily require this in the United States. It's an exception far from the norm.
This world's crazy.
Patel 18129.
Damn sure gonna know. My lawyer come holler at y'all, you damn sure gonna know.
Cool.
Damn sure finna get y'all food.
Alright, that's good.
Like, damn sure finna get y'all food. But tour.
Best of luck to you, buddy.
1829.
Best of luck to you, buddy.
Good luck. You just got 200,000 for the same. Got good luck. Why you grab me like that? Why you grab me for though? I don't get why he touching me, bro.
When Leroy's arrest came under investigation, it seemed police had very little to say for themselves by way of explanation.
All right. We'll put everybody else as offenders that grabbed you. We'll do that on the case report. We'll start head on. Yeah, the description or whatever. We'll get the camera. All right, head on in.
It's clear that the sergeant is aware the situation has been botched. The story officer settled on was that Leroy looked directly at the officers as they drove by, widened his eyes, and then walked away. It appears that Leroy was violently arrested for the serious crime of looking surprised. The official report went on to mention that police suspected Leroy might have had a gun when he reached for his pocket, but as they later discovered, all he could have been reaching for was his phone or glasses. It seems the real reason Leroy was stopped was simply a case of bullying or misuse of power. Leroy was charged with resisting arrest and aggravated assault against a peace officer. All charges were dropped a few months later, thanks to the body camera footage, which proved Leroy was not the instigator. Leroy proceeded to sue the City of Chicago Police Department for personal damages, as well as to ensure this sort of situation doesn't
He whipped that nigga so hard, he got whiplash.
happen again. He was ultimately awarded $195,000.
That's all? I want $1 million.
Clearly, the situation should have been handled much differently. While police training has progressed over the years, it must continue to evolve and grow with the times. De-escalation, implicit bias, and wellness of law enforcement officers are a few of the mandatory training programs officers must complete. In addition, they're now educated on reporting misconduct they see other officers committing. While officers like these should be a thing of the past, we still have a long distance ahead, evidenced by what we just witnessed.
That is some bullshit.